So our last session, and I would say one of the most important sessions, every session today has been important. It's on circular economy and waste to value. And before I reintroduce Aarti Davis to lead this session, but first let me hand it over to Aarti. And Aarti, will you please then introduce your panelists? Thank you.
Thank you, Sanju. And I think one thing that's really important about this session, we've had some pretty heavy hitters through the day, but this is one that we can all get involved in, starting with the sandwiches, starting with taking care of what we do every day. It's not so far in the headline space from where we can actually behave and impact change. So with that, I want to call our two panelists that are with us today, Rupali Deshmukh, Country Manager for India, IVL Sweden, CEO, IVL India Environmental R&D. Bjorn Wedin, CEO at Aditya Birla Domstolsfabriker. And with us online, we have IKEA. We have Johanna Simblista, Quality and Sustainability Compliance Manager for South Asia, IKEA. Welcome. And then we have Nikesh Raj, Environment Program Manager, Sustainability H&M Group. Good to see you again. Please take a seat.
Where do we sit?
Anywhere you like. Feel free. But I want to start today by mixing it up a little, because now we're talking circular economy. And when we unpack circular economy, at least when I unpack it, I think, hey, I've seen these words before. I've seen these processes before: reduce, reuse, recycle. So I want to ask all of you, in the work that you do, the industries you represent, what is special here? What is unique? What is different about this new, I would say new, keyword that we're seeing in the lexicon when it comes to SDGs, the lexicon when it comes to Paris Agenda of circular economy? And I'd like you to talk from, of course, the companies that you come from. So the order we're going to go and do this in, Bjorn, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. If I look at sustainability versus circular economy, I mean, we've been working with sustainability for quite some time, and that's in our genes, so to say, and we have products that, and we are green button certified and so forth. But the new thing with circular economy is the reuse, and we work in the textile industry, and to reuse textiles, we are not very good in that in the world yet, but getting there, and that's the new thing with sustainability or circular economy.
Okay,
for us.
For textiles reuse.
Yes.
Interesting. And then we're going to ask IKEA, actually. Johanna, what do you think? I think you're on mute, Johanna. All good. No, we still can't hear you. Oh, now we can.
Okay, then I will not touch anything. We are in very much the same situation that we were working with the sustainability and circularity for years. But now we are looking at that resources are very limited. And we must find a smarter way to utilize resources which we have. Working with circularity is crucial, really, to find new and innovative way to work with responsibly sourced material. And also, we are looking how we can invite our customers to be part of solution and enabling our customers to live more sustainable life. And what we added, which I think it's a little bit maybe more conscious, we are partnering with the government, we are partnering with industry platforms. We also create communities involvement to work together to find the best solution and to put a little bit more meaningful sound of sustainability to what we used to have before.
That's great. So giving sustainability teeth, if you like, actually finding operational agendas and roadmaps to making this happen. And that's interesting because, of course, we'll come back to that later. It has to be a commercial value proposition as well. Nikesh, H&M, over to you.
Yeah, hi, Aarti. I think for us, circular economy is part of all the sustainability initiatives what we do, but it's very important for us to understand how we sustain the circular economy in the with the growing demands for goods, for example, or with the increased population or resource usage. So the sustainability initiatives, what we do, should create this ecosystem of, finding a proper balance between people and planet, where things could go hand in hand, and having this circular principles, what we always say, reduce, recycle, or reuse, will help us to create these better sustainability initiatives. That's what we believe in.
So with these 3 industry inputs, Rupali, IVL now is making change happen on the ground. It's actually taking waste, making it energy, and actually putting into place service and action. So for you, from the service provision point of view, how do you see the change? What's been the change in terms of this concept of circular? We have industry saying resource efficiency, reuse, and then, of course, consumer awareness.
Aarti, I want to add to this. We have circularity cannot be meaningful without recovery. We have to add recovery to it, and that's what I work with. Recovery of energy, recovery of, because I work with water a lot, so for me it is very important to recover a nutrient when I work with wastewater. So recovery is the aspect which has been forgotten many times. So it should be on a priority, because circularity stand on 4 pillars: reuse, recycle, reduce, and of course recovery. So we have to, when we talk about circularity, we have to talk about those 4 pillars and bring it together, and then only we can develop or make the changes in a society and make the society more sustainable.
And I think that's a really interesting point. I will come back to you, because in that answer with the idea of recovery, you give us the waste to wealth connection.
Exactly.
Because there's a business to recovery as well. And I want to come back to you on that. I'm going to give you some time to think about the answer, because I'm going to go around the other panelists and look into circular economy. And if we start with IKEA, and I want to focus on the economy of circular economy, because if I look at the answers you've been providing, we're really now putting value to the initiatives of actually creating recovery and waste and value. And IKEA has taken some huge steps in creating new items that are actually commercially viable and coming onto your shelves. And that's actually showcasing what can be done with upskilling in terms of new products from old products, creating new value, but it is being done on a commercial basis. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, I would like to maybe start a little bit that, we are sometimes part of the problem, because we are using material. We think they are very good material, but then situation is changing, and what was good 20, 30 years ago is not really very big value at this point. And we decided to be part of the solution, not to be part of the problem anymore. And being circular is also very big ambition of us, and we have a pretty challenge. We would like to challenge the future. We would like to also put very strong agenda, but we would like to succeed in this strong agenda. And there are many areas where we are working in and where we are working on. I will just give 2 very simple examples of what we are doing in South Asia, which is our area of working, which is India and Bangladesh. And India and Bangladesh, we have 2 very strong material. One is, of course, textile, and the second one is plastic. And I would like maybe a little bit more talk about plastic, because this is much more advanced of what we've been doing 20 years ago. We are super proud that for now around 40% of our product is sourced from the recycled or recyclable plastic. How did we start it in IKEA? We started in 2012 as a global initiative, as a decision that by 2030 we will have a recycled material, and we have our plastic directions. In our region, we started in 2016. Don't be scared. I will not go year by year. But we started actually looking how to understand what is recycling material, what can we do in India, what is the industry like, do we have suppliers ready, do we have customers ready and willing to use product made of another product made of material which is not a virgin material. So we got together diverse stakeholders on the board, from government authorities throughout different IKEA organizations to our industry partners. And year after, when we started our first recycled material supplier, which was working with recycled polypropylene. And we made our first recycled product, which was part of the, I don't know how much familiar you are with IKEA product, but it was one of the artificial plants. Then when we were looking at how we can build more, how we can build a good base of partnership with suppliers, how we can establish compliant sourcing of post-consumer material, which was not really very much developed at that point. So we had a help from one of the very good Indian industry leaders in petrochemical industry, who was roped as a sub-supplier to IKEA, and we used them for textile supply chain for recycled PET. Then, as a next step, we have a waste management companies introduced for rPET material and to be part of our supply chain as an outcome of sustainable and trustworthy sourcing of recycled PET. Because as we know, this is pretty much an organized sector, all rat pickers, all people who are working with the recycled material, with the trash collection. This is very difficult industry. It's very difficult to keep compliance, to make this a little bit more organized, to also make good impact on people who are part of this industry and on their families. And then this led to 25% IKEA plastic business volume from Plaza coming from use of recycled material. And then when we get the knowledge how to produce product, how to set up a supply chain, we start training our IKEA India retail colleagues. Retail was very new in India, and this was very much needed to tell the story on the industrial material directions, which was plastic, metal, glass, textile, how we are working with waste to product initiatives, and how our effort fits into IKEA commitment for making safe and affordable product for the many people. This actually had a very good impact on our colleagues from retail, because they were all able to also explain to our customers how IKEA is working with the safety, how IKEA is producing products. And talking about economical impact, this also attracted people, because if people know that product is safe, they are not afraid to buy and to read the story and to promote further. But as we are saying, the most things remain to be done, and we started also initiatives also with H&M collaboration, how we can also work with the recycled textile and how we convert product, our uniforms, our leftovers from the store, or any material which we can rework and recycle into completely new product. And this story, we hope we will be able to share, showing in our stores the new collection.
That's amazing. And I think what you're telling us is that everything starts with the vision. Everything starts with the mission statement and then working to make it happen. So, of course, the story of changing the supply chains, educating, of course, everyone on the supply chain about why this is happening. That's one of the critical steps to take when it comes to changing on industry level, especially in this case of circular economy. And that brings me, of course, to H&M, which has also got massive targets, really impressive targets, net positive by 2040. And that is something you don't see very often. Of course, all of us here have been to Stockholm to see shirts made into trousers and trousers made into socks and all these amazing things in terms of upskilling product. But I think Joanna starts a discussion that, Nikesh, I want you to continue with, which is you have a situation in India that is formal, informal. Your supply chain is not so structured, potentially. And now what you're looking to do is make a change that has to, if it's successful, impact every step of the way, especially to reach the targets of being net positive. So Nikesh, it'd be great to hear from you, to see how is H&M doing this? How do you tackle some of the more messy parts of making this very glamorous shift actually happen on the ground?
Yeah, as you mentioned, very ambitious target, and given the fact that we have production across the world, retail operations across the world, it's very crucial for us to make sure our suppliers, basically, and colleagues, customers, are also ready with us, and they also help us to achieve these targets. So, if I have to specifically focus on India production. So I think everything begins with assessing the strength and opportunities what our suppliers has in terms of sustainability and also in relation to different product manufacturing capabilities. That means we know how our suppliers perform when it comes to using different resources like energy, water, or what kind of chemicals that is used, or how much of waste they produce. So these are different aspects which are captured through different industry tools and also H&M internal tools. So this information helps us to create a roadmap, for example, let's say from current year to 2030, and keep some milestones to achieve the overall targets. So, for example, for a particular vendor or a supplier, it's a clear-cut case that what that vendor needs to be done from today till 2030 to achieve the overall H&M ambitions what we have. But it just doesn't mean that we create a roadmap and we just pass it on to our business partners. Real time and effort from our side begins with the support what we give to them to achieve these targets. For example, probably helping them to find a good renewable service provider, or providing them technical know-how on energy aspects, or providing some energy efficiency mechanisms that could be implemented. Similarly, when it comes to water or chemicals or waste as such, for example, in terms of waste, how to minimize the usage of fresh water, or in terms of chemical, how do we manage better chemical usage in the products. Waste is, of course, something we focus a lot to make it more coming back to us in terms of our own products, what we call as closing the loop. So these are different tailor-made programs we call that we create, and through this we help our service providers.
But Nick, I just want to ask you a quick follow-up
yeah.
question, because you mentioned different areas now. You mentioned energy, you mentioned efficiency, but you yourself cannot be an expert in all these areas. So how do you create these communities of expertise to help your vendors and your suppliers actually achieve the targets they need to actually achieve to meet what you're looking for?
So I think we begin with building our core team within H&M itself. I think we have currently, if I have to look into the team, we have expertise coming from energy, water, chemical, different chapters of climate and circularity, similarly with certain social aspects. And also it's the broader stakeholder engagement that we carry out. We have good partnership with different service providers, different educational institutes, and also brands as well. So a clear alignment of goals and alignment or of the visions help us in achieving these targets. For example, for a particular vendor, it's not just the H&M who is the customer, right? There are different brands who goes into the same factory or manufacturing facility and places orders. So alignment between brands, alignment between different stakeholders engaged there would help us a lot.
I think it's just important to keep in mind that the communication is as much with your external network as it is with your internal network, because you're talking about a pivot and a change that has to happen within the company before it can actually be can resonate outside the company. So it's interesting to see that expertise coming together to create these communities that you need to have and pull together. Thank you so much. But I want to come to Bjorn. And of course, Aditya Birla Domsterfabriker is, of course, a JV, India and Sweden coming together. Not even a JV. I think Aditya Birla owns Domsterfabriker.
No, Aditya Birla owns the company.
Exactly.
Yes.
But you have access to both these sides of the story.
Yes.
And we've touched upon how to make circular economy an economy that actually flourishes, innovation will be key in terms of reuse and upskilling and upcycling. Domsterfabriker is actually doing some interesting work when it comes to creating cotton to viscose.
Yeah,
and actually creating
you're right. You're right. First, I just want to say that we are in Sweden here a pulp producer, a dissolving pulp producer. So we're using a tree, and then we're making pulp for it, and then we transport it over to India, and then we make textile of it and viscose. And we've been working with that for many years, and worked a lot with sustainability, try to reduce chemical usage, water usage, etc. But now also with the circular economy, we're coming into reuse, and what we have a new product, Liva Reviva, and what we do is that we try to circle back the cotton waste from the cotton waste and shred it up, take away the color in the cotton, and then blend it into our product. And right now we are scaling up this, and we have been able so far to introduce roughly 20% of waste into our product, which is fantastic, I think, because today pretty much nothing is recycled in this business. We also try to work together with, for example, Renewcell, which is a brand new company starting up their production here in Sweden, and promote that also and work together.
But you also have to find the market, and actually there's a lot of fashion design that goes into this, and
Yes.
you have fashion shows, and there are models and there are brand ambassadors. I think it's important to say that the innovation of the product was one thing, but to create the demand is also equally a challenge. It'd be great to hear how you're working.
Yeah. Of course, it's a challenge, but we're working together with brands, and of course, H&M is using Liva Eco, for example. So if you go to a store here in Stockholm, you can find that tag there, and if you feel a little bit proud when you can work in Örnsköldsvik and see that our textile or our pulp or our trees from Örnsköldsvik is actually made it the whole way around and back to Sweden again. So.
And it's commercially viable, but also going for quite a good price. I was looking online with the fashion models that you have that are actually promoting this beyond H&M, beyond the names we see here, actually making a name for themselves by
Yes.
promoting the product.
Yeah.
And that's an important consideration to keep, is that we have to create. There is an interest in terms of the consumer, but we have to create advocacy and create information. And that's something that we've touched upon in all the different changes happening here. So it's important, and I think it's great. I was taking pictures of the fashion shows on YouTube.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to do that, because it's an amazing product.
Yeah.
But I'm going to come to Rupali now. And one thing that we've touched upon is supply chains, and looking at changes and looking at the way in which a market that is not necessarily 100% formal works. And we are going to focus on India for this question. Now, we know, and Joanna touched upon it as well, when it comes to rag pickers, when it comes to the community of waste, there are some that operate within boundaries and some that operate external to boundaries. And to come in as IVL, as you have done in Mumbai, and to create the change, the massive change that you're undertaking, requires you to engage with all these different communities and actually bring them on board. And like everyone has touched upon here, the communication is internal as much as it is external. And stakeholder engagement and trust is something that will be important to any big change that's happening in this regard. And IVL now has been working in Mumbai with your sewage treatment plants, I think, for about a year now. And has had really good results. And I'm imagining, and I want to hear from you, the first part of that change was stakeholder engagement, both formal and informal.
I'm very happy to share that we are going to hand over our first commercial project in India on 29th of October. It's a 8 MLD STP plant, Mithi River. So that's happening. So we are developing very good. Coming back to your question about stakeholder engagement and trust building, those are the key to develop the project. As the earlier speaker in earlier panel mentioned that the India is enormous, okay? So there is vast difference between when you talk about India and Sweden. So when I was forcing, like, we should go to India to work, to develop the project, it was really hard for me to convince IVL Sweden, right? So to build a trust here, then when we go there, to build trust there, to create a brand there, it was really important. And somehow we could manage, because there were like a small things which came together. We have done the small project earlier also in India, so we were not new. So that helped me to create our brand easily. And the trust building happened as we go forward with the project, right? and bringing right stakeholder at a right time in the project or the value chain is very, very important. And I feel we were really lucky in that sense, because we could bring the right municipality or connect with the right municipality at the right time to develop the project. And that is the key for the success of IVL's project in India.
And the right municipality at the right time it was a surprise coming together, or had you done the due diligence to say these are the people we need to talk to? Because of course market intelligence, now IVL and SIBC have made many trips to India looking at different cities to see where we should engage, where's the best footprint. And now, of course, IVL has taken that next step and found it. So how did that right time, right person actually happen?
Aarti, as you rightly mentioned, that we have been to many cities together, and we know who else better than you knows about what is happening in Sweden-India corridor. So, during that time, of course, I was checking where is the good opportunity and where we should enter when I wanted to introduce IVLs. And we got also many delegation from from India here, and they shown a keen interest in IVL. They ask us, why don't you come and bring your knowledge to the Indian market? So somehow there it started, the discussion has started then, back in 2017 when we went first time with a delegation. And then it slowly developed. We found that Indian government had a many initiative for clean water. And Mumbai was the first city who were planning to build those big STP. So that opened the door, like those were really huge project we are talking. And now like those projects got delayed after 3.5 years. Finally, the big projects are taking off. So this July there was the kickoff, and now the big project are running. I had another small project. So this is how we found that the Mumbai is the right place for us to enter. As we know, Mumbai is the economic capital of India, and I follow money. So that's how we end up there. No money, no work, no money,
No, but
no
I think
business.
circular economy, we need to get back into the commercial viability, and following money is exactly that. But you touch upon something you mentioned in the beginning, and I want to ask everyone on the panel actually to comment on this, because you represent Swedish names in India. And you said brand trust, and Joanna, you said safety. And I want to ask you, when you're making these big changes, when you're introducing new ideas, you're communicating with your supply chains internally, externally, what is the value, would you say, of the fact that you represent a Swedish brand and that you're working with India with that name behind you? I'm going to start with Rupali, and then Nikesh, and then Joanna, and then Bjorn.
Arti, this is very easy because Sweden has been acknowledged all over the world with their values with respect to environment and sustainability. So it was very, very easy for us that, oh, we are a Swedish company, we have this knowledge. So they have really welcomed us with open heart. So we were there and they were welcoming, and they were saying, now you take this, that. So this is how we develop. So Indian side is really open. They want to partner with international players on any issues. They are not asking for money. India has a lot of money on different initiatives. Just they need a knowledge. And I really feel this is the right time and right opportunity for all international, I will say, all Swedish actors. They should enter. This is the right time.
Rupali's side business is brand ambassador India.
Yeah,
But,
why not?
but I think what she's saying is really important, is the value of this name and this brand. And I think I'd like to ask Nikesh and Joanna, do you share what Rupali is saying in terms of the trust that this brand actually creates? Nikesh.
I think I do not have anything else to add on to what already said by Rupali. It's definitely the trust itself is built long back. I think everybody knows how Sweden is forefront in terms of innovation or anything that connects with the different technologies per se. So for us also, I think it's not difficult for us to convince any of our vendors or suppliers. I think the moment we set some targets, they would know that there is a lot of thinking, there is a lot of ambition went behind it, and they're in it with us. So it's the culture, it's the value, and it's the greater ambitions that we set for the future attracts our vendors as well, and it makes them stronger to work with us.
And Joanna, would you argue that the transparency also creates a huge value for your supply chain?
Yes, it's absolutely transparency. It's all our systems where we are validating our supply chain, which are transparent, which are repeatable, which are based on true values. I would add another part to what Rupali and Nicker said. I think we can also, with our knowledge, which is in each of our company, we can really support policy makers with our knowledge, and we can co-create policy and make sure that there is different aspects and different points of view, and we can really give added value with our experience.
Thank you, Bjorn.
Yeah, I cannot only agree about this. It's for us, maybe it's a little bit different. Aditya Birla came to Sweden and bought Domsjö, but it's about knowledge. In the beginning, it was also sustainability, but today I believe there's a bigger drive maybe in India to catch up and maybe pass by Sweden with sustainability and circularity. So we have a lot to learn also.
And that's an interesting point because, Rupali, you touched upon in the beginning the recovery concept and how that's actually a business model in itself. And that's something that India is understanding, that recovery actually, in addition to reuse and recycle, is an avenue for growth and income building. Tell us more about recovery in terms of the IVL.
Recovery is really important. When we started, when we entered in a Mumbai market, they were like talking about only 10% of recovery of water, which they wanted to bring it back to chain. But we changed their mindset, because I give always example what we did here. We brewed a beer from wastewater, right? So we tell them, no, this is the time. You have a water crisis. If you don't do it, you have to recover the energy. Your plant should be energy neutral. It will not happen overnight. So recovery aspect, Indian side has understood very well. They are making investment. They are going to, the plant will have the recovery of energy, recovery of nutrient, which will take to their farmland, because India is, again, the agriculture economy is big in India. So it is very important for them to use those nutrient, what is going to otherwise end up in either a sea or in a landfill. So those aspects Indian side has understood, and they are making an investment, and we can bring our base knowledge there.
I think that's really important because there's a cost to that fertilizer that's then being sold to the agricultural economy. I want to come and ask you all a last question, but before that, we have really big names here. Do we have any questions from the audience about circular economy and, in Rupali's case, how best to follow the money?
1 second.
Okay. I was hoping today to meet you all here in Sweden, but as H&M and IKEA is online, take it like this instead. My name is Ulla Chaudhry, and I'm come from Swedish Water Foundation and AquaQ. And I was just going to ask you about reuse of water, because that's a really urgent matter, because water is very, vad heter det för någonting? Scarcity. Water is a scarcity. So I was hoping to be able to discuss that with you, but I would like to hear what you think about reuse of your water in your factories.
Did you hear the question? And that's to
Yes.
H&M and IKEA, is that?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also, of course, Aditya Birla also.
Yeah.
IVL, I know.
I can start with that. I mean,
Thank you.
for us, we also have the same objective as H&M to be net zero by 2040 and 50% by 2030. But if you look at our products, and our plants, all our plants, we have seven mills in Asia, and 3 of them today are BAT. Follow the BAT regulation, best available technique, and in next year all 7 will be that. We have reduced our water consumption by 50% on our main product, Liva Eco, and that's how we work really hard to reduce the water consumption. And for Aditya Birla and the fiber units we have, our viscose production is much less water consumption. We need less water consumption than maybe other fabrics need.
Nikesh, Joanne, do you want to add anything to that?
It's similar to what explained right now, but for us, we do not proceed with any business transactions with any vendor where there is no treatment plant on the first criteria. That becomes a very basic requirement for us. So if they're able to treat the water and reuse the water in the facility, that's a go-to-go vendor. So most of our suppliers do have zero liquid discharge units. That means they reuse the water in the facility. And also wherever possible, if there is a rainwater harvesting system, then we try to connect it back to production and see, if that water could be used for production as well. So it's a combination of different technologies and options what we have, and we try to recycle as much as water possible so that fresh water consumption could be minimized. Yeah, that's a basic minimum requirement for H&M.
Can I add one thing? Not at industrial level, also at municipality level, Indian side is considering a reuse of water. And now in Mumbai, they are considering 50% of reuse of water, and we are talking also for potable use. So this is in discussion with Mumbai municipality.
And that's a big cultural shift as well.
Mindset.
Exactly. Joanna, I'm going to come to you.
Yes, and we have a pretty much similar concept like H&M, because it's our basic requirement that all our suppliers should have a water treatment plants as a minimum to start operation with them. Then we are also looking at the different technology, how we can reduce amount of used water for certain industrial processes, like for instance printing or powder coating in carbon steel. And then when we are going back to the retail operation, our colleagues, when we are building store, they are already securing that the use of the water is in a closed loop. It's also minimized use of the water, which doesn't affect customers. But we also have reused water used for the toilet purpose, and having specially designed taps which are using less water with the same effect. So we are looking at the very different area of how we can save water, how we can recycle what we are using, and how we can basically be much more mindful with the water management.
We have one more question. Eric.
Yes, Artie. Hi. I have a question about innovation. What would you say is the most important kind of innovation that we need to increase circularity? Is it a technical innovation? Is it a management innovation? Is it a consumer innovation? What kind of innovations do we need, or what would be the most important type of innovation? Often you think about it from a technical point of view, but there might be many other types of innovation that we need.
I'm going to start with the online. I see Joanna nodding her head. So Joanna, I'm going to start with you.
I think it's a combination of everything what you said. It's first, everything starts from the customer. Either customer wants to know what they want, or we can propose customers the best solution from them. We are designing our product with we call this democratic design, which sustainability is one of the equal out of 5 principles. But then it's also education, and it's also material, it's also technical capabilities. And it's also starting, through the whole supply chain, because, and I will just give you an example, we can be fantastically sustainable in one country, but when we are moving product across the globe, then we are a little bit losing on a footprint sometimes. Or when we are bringing material from another country, reprocessing in second country and sending back to third country, then we are also not fully sustainable. So I would say the connection between customer, between the knowledge about product and material, and the whole supply chain.
So everything.
Yeah.
It's everything based. And good communication, I would say, because sometimes communication is really also the key to say, aha.
Normally in these cases, it's never but, it's always and. But Nikesh.
I think it's the same answer as Joanna, but I would probably give an example connecting to climate or the technology or the innovation challenge, what I experienced. So I was talking about the roadmap development for a particular group of suppliers, for example. So what we learned is there is not enough innovation that could bring 100% energy transition, for example. So we are still stuck at converting 70% or 80% of energy into renewable sources. But what about that 20%? So do we have enough innovation, or who's doing what? I think there are certain questions when it comes to technical innovation needs that could be probably, looked after. For example, certain products, probably same for IKEA. I mean, let's say there are hard good products which might need natural gas as a fuel source, which needs to be used to curate that product. So there's no fuel switch available right now. So that's a challenge what we face when it comes to technical innovations. Similarly, with if I have to talk about finances or the management innovation aspect, so innovative finance could help. Innovative technical awareness could help. So yeah, these are the different aspects coming to my mind.
Bjorn Rupali?
Okay, yeah. So, as Johanna and Nikesh says, I agree with them. Innovation has to be on all the level, but innovation partnership should be there to develop the innovative solution for local condition. So it is very important that a local researcher, local innovator comes together with Swedish innovator, Swedish researcher, and develop the innovative solution for local condition. As they both said, innovation has to happen in all the levels. So I agree to that. Bjorn.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add. I think it's you all said it very good. Yes, innovation need to happen, and we need to continue with it. And I mean, both energy and it's extremely important, and recovery, I think, in those areas. So.
And localize it and create the price points that actually match what the consumer can actually manage. We heard that during the day as well. And of course, we're hearing it here as well, is that it has to be collaborative. It has to be triple helix, ideally. It has to be local in terms of its application. But innovation is key to making all of this happen.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much to India, because it's 8:30 there. So really appreciate you being with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the Innovation Day. And I turn to Sanju.
Yeah, I thank you. Well, thank you, Aarti, for your fantastic moderation of the day, and thank you, IVL and Aditya Birla, for also being such great partners for the day, and so great to have both of you from IKEA and H&M as we close this day on this really important topic. Just to add to what Eric said, I think there's an opportunity to understand also. I feel that the solution makers or the designers are really the key here, who can understand both on the consumer end and then also on the technology end, but also then we need governments to make sure that there are policies in place for them to actually be able to do the work. So it requires a very holistic way of thinking for innovation. Having said that, I want to thank you all for your patience. We have gone through, I think, 10, 12 sessions today. Everything from the innovation partnership, from the ministerial to energy to transport to Industry 4.0 and AI and digitalization and technology and startups, healthcare and circular economy. I'm sure I've missed out something in between too, but everybody is counted for. And really a big shout out to my team who have worked really hard to make this day possible. And in partnership, of course, with my main partner, Sweden India Business Council, the Embassy of India in Sweden, and CII. And of course, none of this would have been possible without my sponsors and partners who have really helped to make this day happen. So I just want to call out my team members, of course, and it's Anis and Moti and Karthik, who have worked day in and night. And please give them a big round of applause. And I also want to thank Ronya, Aarti, Robin, Cecilia, Nisha, who's not here, but everybody who's been involved, and of course all our dear colleagues from the embassy. So thank you so much. We have